I've been warned many times, directly and by implication, not to insult anybody who misses John Lennon. I want to talk about how the issues are framed by Dan Quayle, undercover newbies, and Texas queer types who think very highly of themselves and working for the people behind the AIDS attack. They communicate to me that they see me as a Nazi who should be hanged at the concentration camps. That's a rather tall illustration of how John Lennon paved the way for this nightmare. Let's talk over some basic facts of reality in the whole case. Will Zell was established to have um, been in contact with me before AIDS started and was talking about his scheme to transform the human race by injecting the blood, and then he ran the Mount Desert Island um, entrapment operation, the Venus flytrap operation. Now we have Lauren Boebert and Truss working for Trump to re-election campaign. Their idea is that the best way to hang a Nazi is to force him to fulfill the script that they wrote and they say they found. In other words, taunting me again through the clubhouse about they poisoned me in the mouth, an announcement of COVID. They deafened me. They gave me a nerve agent. And now they gave me Parkinson's, and now they want to give me HIV. This is Trumpy Tune's conscientious objector test. Now, of course, a lot of this comes down the pipeline from his relationships with Putin and so forth, and that horrible University of Pittsburgh. As bad as they are, the fact that the Seattle does this and gets away with it is pretty dang parched. Anyway, Zell spoke as reported, so he was in on the AIDS attack. Yet he represents John Lennon's estate. So the people who were in on the AIDS attack represent John Lennon's estate. They vouched for Yoko Ono through Robert Fritz Gurdjieff's Society, Zalnu Hodobrowski, who Fripp introduced me to. He worked at Jackson Immunogenetic Labs, and Penis Gabriel said it was an experience park. I mean, this is spinner beanie stuff. Burning down a $10 million laboratory was an experience park. And you're supposed to buy this from Liz Truss and so forth and so on. So that's one of the ways that they frame the argument. Okay, the men who were behind AIDS represent the Lennon estate. Now, how and why did they do that? John Lennon used to have a poem about Jews called faulty bag nose. I'll nipple to her Jew with all their faulty bag nose. Well, you know, Zappa got away with saying things like, "Oh, you're Jewish, love your nails," and crude innuendos about Christianity and so forth. But trot, they came to the rescue of Leslie Katz. This guy Will Zell is promoting Joseph Goebbels as a symbol of this divine Jewish girl who was Arnold Katz's daughter, valedictorian of girls' school, best friends with John Schulman. They formed Jabberwocky together. He authored a $6 million museum heist. Tortured me, framed me, lied about me. He called himself the bookseller because he's selling this thing for Trumpy Tune. One of his employees worked with one of Trump's ghostwriters, Adam Eisenstadt. So Trump is selling this book. And Seattle's helping him do it. And I'm the Nazi they're going to hang because I insulted the memory of John Lennon by telling the truth. Now, how does this happen? Now, there's two theoretical explanations at this point based on that much information, which is that All of John Lennon's friends loved him, but they preferred, once he was dead, to side with the people who killed him. And Paul McCartney says things like, well, it's like losing a soccer buddy. In other words, he got traded to the wrong team. We're on the right team all the same, or something like this, right? And the right team is a Pussy Bowl operation starring Midori Goto, the Black Man Conquered. They kicked my face, and Texas Queer said the dude who tortured you as a child is Butch. He's cool. He's neat. You're just a pussy ball. And that's the basic long and short of the way that Pittsburgh, Fox News, my step family, Tacoma, Pittsburgh, and this horrible place, Seattle, operate. And that's the long and short of it. They they castrated me for failure to date rape. I mean, I wasn't man enough to be part of the Confederacy that Donald Trump wants to build. And um, anybody who has sex detected, if you make out in public, which Seattle never does. A couple now and then you get the tender experience of seeing two gay men holding hands, but Seattle is nowhere nearly as romantic as Pittsburgh. It doesn't even come close. You're a disgrace to the nation. It's like J. Edgar Hoover, don't even think about sex. It shows a single woman walking a baby cradle. And they subjected personas successive degradations of the X motive and leak that they're in a genocide ring. And they're paying for and sponsoring these abortions so they can have a symbol to burn. Peter Balakian comes and says, "Crury burning." This is a Pulitzer poet for advising the Obama family about queerbait, which is what they used to call me. That all passes the censor. I mean, nobody's going to come jump down, hold spiraling ding dong, and say things like paranoid schizophrenic, because that all passes the censor. CBS News has me on newsreels with Reagan waving to me the night before he claims he was shot. His attorneys from the FEMA had me in D.C. that day. But just like Lennon's estate siding with the people who started AIDS, the Zell guy, and the scriptwriters, Trump and them, Reagan sided with the people who he claimed shot him. They were his attorneys. He gave them the go-ahead for his Mount Desert Island project. So, but all of that can be corroborated and explained with the soccer team stuff that McCartney comes up with. We changed soccer teams, soccer allegiances. And they say, well, we haven't come out of the closet about giving queer ball HIV yet. This is the sort of thing that psychopaths like Robert Kennedy want to pull. It's like an ethical junction into the American kingdom of majestic thinking. Spy spinner beanies. Watch my spinner beanies spin. They can't stop themselves. And they're the ones who have the hypodermic needles that they're injecting people who go crazy with, right? I mean, we'll talk Mackenzie Sherrill. This is easy to confirm, so there's no censorship problem involved. Mackenzie Sherrill was given a hallucinogen, a neurological hallucinogen, and a hybrid ward done by these same minions of Truss, Trump, Boebert, Seattle, and Pitt, which was invented as an extreme situation. None of these people could stub their toe without bawling and going to court. And they're giving children an agent that they cry about the Jews. And yet they give children something that induces the extreme situation of a Holocaust survivor. That's how horrible these stupid, stupid people in Seattle really are. And then they exploit it. They exploit the trauma. We haven't enough. Michael Fragan's favorite scene is so obscene that you can barely talk about it. And they did it to a 9-year-old. Okay, so this is the society that I live in. It's a sick, sick place. And this society has these poachers that want to blame the victims. It was created, the formula for this neurohypnotic chemical that none of the people who presume to pontificate about what happened to Mackenzie could in a million years dream of how horrible that substance is. I mean, a year later, I groped to try to express what it was, the disturbing, terrible torture of it. And I have that piece of paper, which I submitted in Shirley's defense. It was invented by a prison authority from Attica State Psychiatry. And yet these pinheads come and say, we're going to hang you. So none of that it risks being censored because it's all easy to show and it's easy to prove. And it fits McCartney's narrative, which is the people are weird, just. And the Crow Hag reduced, so she's like, well, we have revenge, because Hiroshima was wrong. So why not start killing mass murdering grannies in America? Hey, yeah, well. None of that is censored because it's very straightforward and upfront. It's all very upfront. I can show you the postcard that Courtney Kennedy sent me when Circe was murdered. It's all very upfront. You don't have to censor it. You can see it. It's American history. Now let's get to the part that they censor. This is the part they don't like. The evidence shows that this was put together by Reagan and Lenin. And they pulled a Houdini. And not only that, it goes back to the birthplace of Hollywood when D.W. Griffith was meeting with Mussolini. And Blythe Sanders had this idea of creating a God function through fourth dimensional applications of cinema to news reporting. That's why they dismantled our newspapers. And you can't find any newspaper that's ethical enough not to go along with it. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch, I have the signatures of every great hero of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch on a cartoon of my grandfather's, and the only thing they want is to own it. They went along with Reagan's atrocity. They went along with Two Virgins Pussy Bowl, and they justify it magically through a Christian church that's anointed by Kirill of the Russian Orthodox Church. And North Korea is one of their great popes. You're not allowed to look at pornography. No. And and yet the Texas queers say that this is their idea of right versus wrong, which is asking questions. Wrong is trying to get help to people. Wrong is trying to warn people. Wrong is trying to protect your peers. And this is proven because I had the decency to stand up for another victim, which they never had the decency to do. That's they put out Mackenzie Shirella like a dog chained to a bomb for all the world to see. And her conviction for them is just like the bullet in Oswald. Well, it doesn't matter whether he did it or not. He's gone. This is Seattle. This is the reality of Seattle.